Brian, quite the moment for the Middle East. There's a lot of hope for peace there and quite the solidarity being shown among world leaders during Trump's speech.
It is quite the day to wake up to a moment where the Israeli hostages are being reunited with their families, and we're no longer calling them hostages, but we're calling them former hostages, to now what we're seeing on the screen with President Trump, with world leaders from the Arab world and also from major European countries as well. We really are on the cusp of a new day and a new dawn in the Middle East. And I think we should all be very proud of our president and be proud of our administration for the work that they've done so long to bring together this moment. I mean, we are really on the cusp of lasting peace, and it's something that we should all be very proud about.
What has the president done differently in negotiating peace? Why perhaps didn't this war come to an end before?
Didn't come to an end before because he's in office for 10 months now, and you know, it took President Trump coming, you know, back into the White House to be able to partner with Prime Minister Netanyahu, partner with the Arab countries as well. You know, I like to say that, you know, President Trump, before becoming the president the first time and now the second time, you know, he was a private sector business guy, you know, so he was used to making deals. He was used to sitting across the table with people that maybe he didn't necessarily agree with, but he had to find a way to make a deal, and he had to find a way to compromise. And I think that's exactly what we see here, and that President Trump has been able to bring world leaders together to make tough deals. And, you know, there's going to be has to be compromise. You know, some parts are going to be good, some parts are maybe not going to be great, but at the end of the day, everyone has to compromise. But I think it's an amazing moment. It's an amazing feat for President Trump to once again usher in a new era of peace. And I think as we look forward in the weeks and months to come, you're probably going to see an Abraham Accords 2.0 with lots of Arab countries officially recognizing the state of Israel. And that's pretty powerful.
Well, that's interesting. The president has said that it's not just peace for Gaza, but he's also looking for this to be a stepping stone for peace across the wider Middle East. How do you see that, perhaps, as you put it, Abraham Accords 2.0 actually playing out now?
I think the groundwork was laid just probably about an hour ago, with a lot of these Arab countries kind of quasi already acknowledging the state of Israel. And I think there's going to be much more of that. You know, listen, the audience has to know that, you know, countries like Egypt and Jordan and Saudi Arabia, while they don't officially recognize the state of Israel, they do quite a bit of cooperation and have for decades now on military, intelligence, commerce, trade. So they've had these friendships and these relationships, as I like to say, in the darkness for a long time. And it was President Trump's Abraham Accords that gave a lot of these countries the runway for their relationships to take off out of the darkness and into the light. And that's when we saw the UAE and Bahrain and Morocco and Sudan officially recognize Israel. And I think that we're going to continue to see that happen in the weeks and months to come. I think there's going to be a lot more peace happening, and there has to be. Enough is enough, you know, and we're finally at a point now where we have a president that's able to bring these countries together to make peace. So I think it's going to be a really exciting time from a foreign policy perspective over the next couple of weeks.
Now, we see from the images on the screen, both on the Israeli side and the Palestinian side, celebrations, joy, hope. On the other hand, are there perhaps still stumbling blocks to ensuring peace in the medium and longer term?
Well, the biggest stumbling block right now is the fact that Hamas still exists in the Gaza Strip. And as long as Hamas exists and also is armed the way that they are, it's going to be very tough for there to be any kind of a breakthrough with what's happening in the Gaza Strip. So time will tell in terms of, you know, how that unfolds and what that looks like. I think the main priority was to get back the living hostages and also the remains of, unfortunately, the murdered hostages as well. And I think that's the main focus right now. What comes next, it could go in a lot of different ways. But I think both the Israelis and also us, the Americans and our Arab partners, everyone understands there can be no more Hamas in any way, shape, or form. So we'll see how Hamas reacts to that, because again, the Israelis, they did a good job in getting rid of quite a bit of Hamas, but there's still probably anywhere from 15 to 20,000 Hamas troops or Hamas members that are still in the Gaza Strip, and that's a big problem. That's going to be a big impediment to peace actually happening in the Gaza Strip. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Brian, because I know part of Trump's 20-point plan was to ensure a de-radicalized, terror-free zone in Gaza. And as you said, we're not exactly there just yet. Now, the president, throughout the process, has shown concern for both Israelis and Palestinians in the war. How has this display of universal respect for life impacted negotiations?
Well, listen, I think whether it's the president or whether, I think we all, have a deep appreciation for human life. But I think where a lot of us draw the line is with Hamas. And, when Israel, was going after Hamas and Hamas was using their own people as human shields, I mean, that was horrible. I mean, it was really horrible. And this is who Hamas is. This is who they've always been. So I don't know if there's going to be able to be like this de-radicalization of Hamas. If in fact, I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. So I'm not sure what the future holds for Hamas, but certainly there are Palestinians. I hope and I pray that want to have peace with the Israelis, and I know the Israelis have wanted to have peace for many years. They routinely have shown up at the negotiating table. Don't forget, the Gaza Strip is a pretty big example of what the Israelis were willing to do to have peace. They uprooted tens of thousands of Israelis from the Gaza Strip and gave the land to the Palestinians as a massive olive branch for peace. And unfortunately, the Gazans elected Hamas a year later, and it's been 15 years of what we've seen. So I think the Israelis want peace. I think the Arab countries want peace. I'm not sure if the Palestinians want peace, if I'm being honest with you. And if they want peace, I think they're going to find their Israeli partners want to have peace as well. But time will tell in terms of how all of this unfolds. But I think the biggest news of the day, and I mentioned this in the beginning of our interview, is the fact that 20 hostages, and you're seeing on the screen right now, they're being reunited with their families after 700 plus days living in the worst type conditions possible. And now they're being reunited with their families. And it is a beautiful moment. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on, the left, the right, the center. It is truly remarkable to see these families being reunited after 2 long years.
Absolutely. Brian Live, appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
And still to come, National Museum services shuttered over the weekend as we enter the 3rd week of a government shutdown. And the president says more Democrat-focused layoffs